I broke the podcast.
In a podcast in the ground, there lived 3 hosts. Not a nasty, dirty, wet podcast filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy podcast with nothing in it to listen to or to eat. There, it was okay. I'm gonna abandon this idea.
Boy, howdy, was that an investment.
I did not plan that out. Yep, nope, we're not doing this. Hello and welcome to JudgeCast. This is episode 376. I am one of your hosts, Bryan, and I am joined by this tricksy little hobbits, Marco Sanchez and Charles Feather.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everybody. This is making me wish I had done like a loot version of the intro.
L-O-O-T or L-U-T-E?
Oh, L-U-T-E.
This is magic
100%.
related. Okay. We'll get a little bardcore going.
Yes. Love me some
Alright.
hardcore.
Hi, everybody. This is our podcast for the release notes of The Hobbit. Yes, it has been 3 whole episodes since we did a pre-release, or since we did a release notes episode, so it's time again. Talk about new cards.
Yay.
And not the mystery booster commander cards.
Yeah,
the
surprise
other-
release notes today on that.
Yeah, the other new cards. Yes.
And errata.
And errata, they've already got errata on some of those
Yeah,
cards?
they had to errata the otter thing, I think.
They had to errata the otter.
They had to errata the otter. Yeah.
The
Say that
errata.
5 times fast.
All right. Yes. So, Hobbit cards. Just as a general set, these are cards that have the HOB set code on the bottom, and they are permitted in standard, pioneer, modern, as well as commander and other formats. But there's also another code that might show up on cards.
You mean
that
the
you would get in-
the
Yep.
HOC code
Yes, the HOC code.
for Hobbit commander cards?
Yes.
For which a set that we have no commander decks?
Look, man.
Stop saying the quiet part out loud. They're going to hear you.
I just want to know. It's all in branding and marketing these days, and if there are no commander decks, can you really have a commander set code?
Well, where would one find these commander cards with this commander set code?
I believe you find them in collector packs, in booster box, gift box thingies, and maybe something else. There's like 3 products that they could pop up in, but not in play boosters, unless there's a one-off. But I don't think there is in play boosters.
Yeah. So these are cards. These are cards that may be found in collector boosters, the draft night bundle, or the gift bundle. And additionally, there might be some previously printed cards with the HOC set code that are legal for play in any format where the card with the same name was already permitted. So just to be clear, these cards are legal in the format that they're legal in.
Unless
There's
Got
got
it.
to be a better way to say that.
So they're legal
What?
unless
No.
they're not.
I like saying it exactly that way. Is they're legal where they're legal. You figure it out. Okay,
You
thanks.
figure it out.
Right. Figure it out. All right.
And so where do you open one of these super shiny gold smog cards? Because that looked really cool. I think those are only collector boosters and only in like boxes that you have to pay the total amount of at least 2 children's souls. I don't know.
Yeah, collector boosters are up
$500
around.
the going rate for a child soul
We're,
these days?
we're not a finance cast, but collector boosters at $1,000 a box is a little absurd.
Not financial advice.
$1,000 a box?
That's about where it hovers around right now. You can find it cheaper if you're smart and know where to look, but yeah, it's expensive.
So hold on. Wait a second. Just a moment.
Yeah.
Marcos, you were surprised that they are $1,000?
I mean, no. I've
Weren't
just
they
not
were the
One
looked
set
and
their
went,
price equal to children's souls. And you thought they were less?
Weren't they last time? With the
I
chase
mean,
for the One Ring?
I think they
what's the
were
going rate
closer
on
to
it?
4 or 5 around then, but still, either way.
There's a lot.
It's,
I
inflation.
mean, you can't put a price on the soul of a child, so,
What shrinkflation? Is that? It's anyway.
Hey, we have stuff to talk about.
We do.
Going off the rails as always. Here we go.
Yes, we're going off on an adventure. All right, so we've got some new keywords.
Yes, and one of them is Storied. And Storied is seen on the new card Thorin Oakenshield for 1 and a red, which is a 3/2 legendary creature, dwarf, noble. Noble. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Thorin has trampled and Storied, and Storied has the reminder text: if you control 3 or more artifacts, legendaries, and or sagas, you have an enduring story for the rest of the game. It also has the text: as long as you have an enduring story, artifacts and creatures you control have Ward 1. So Storied in this case is an effect that's similar to City's Blessing. Once you meet the storied condition of a card, once you meet the storied condition, you gain the enduring story designation for the rest of the game, even if you no longer or lose the storied condition, that is having 3 or more artifacts, legendaries, and or sagas. The artifacts, legendaries... I can't speak tonight. I cannot speak tonight.
Dude, he takes one episode off and then forgets how to podcast.
One episode, can't know how to do the thing. The artifacts of legendaries...
Legendary the Explorers?
Yeah, there we go. Keep all of this in. This is great stuff. This is great stuff. The artifacts, legendaries, and or sagas you need to get storied have to be on the battlefield. They can't be in your hand. They can't be on the stack. They have to all be right there. And then when that happens, you have storied. A single permanent can only count once towards your storied count. So those legendary artifact enchantment sagas, they only count one time. You'd need 3 of those, and then you'd be fine.
Hopefully they don't have the same name.
Hopefully they don't have the same name, but if they do, you're probably doing something commandery, and you have something that allows you to have 3 of them at the same time.
Maybe fine if you have all 3 of them with the same name. Maybe.
Yeah. If you meet the storied condition, but don't actually have a permanent with storied, you do not gain the enduring story designation, meaning you have to have Thorin out on the battlefield to do the thing. Storied isn't a triggered ability. Players don't get to respond to storied, so when you suddenly have storied, they can't sit there and say, I have a disallow or can't, or some kind of a counterspell. It doesn't work. But they can respond to the spell that will give you your storied condition. So if you have Thorin out and you have a saga and you have a legendary and you're going to cast an artifact and the artifact's on the stack and they have a way to cancel that, great. They can keep you off of being storied. Rude. Also storied, it's immediate. If you have an artifact, a legendary creature, and a clone that is a legendary creature, or a clone that... Boy, wow, I cannot talk tonight.
Goose, Rabba, find your center, Charles.
Oh my god. Okay. Also, storied is immediate. If you have an artifact, a legendary creature, and then you clone that legendary creature, you'll briefly have met the storied condition right before, that legend rule kills your new favorite legendary creature or the previous one, whichever one you want to get rid of. From a tournament policy standpoint, having an enduring story... Jeez.
Charles!
Dude.
I just want to get to the cards, man. I just want to talk about the new cards. I want to talk about the new goblins. Okay. From a tournament policy standpoint, having an enduring story is considered status information. So it's a continuous effect with no defined expiration within the game that apply to the player, such as Monarch or City's Blessing. I also believe it's probably worth pointing out you can't steal somebody else's storied status. So if your opponent has story, there should be no way for you to gain that status without you establishing your own story.
But just to be clear, the status that you gain is enduring story.
Yeah.
You gain that via the storied keyword.
Thank you. Right. So the enduring story is not a status that you can steal from an opponent. At least not yet. Who knows?
Can you say storied gives you enduring story 5 times fast?
Yes. Story gives you... No, we're not going to do that. Keep going. Next one.
Okay, next up. Next up is Recruit, which we can see on the Lake Town Lookout for a single white mana. This is a 1/1 creature human scout that simply says when this creature dies, recruit. And it reminds you, draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a non-land card, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So this reminder text looks very familiar. This is basically Connive, but instead of putting a +1/+1 counter on the creature, you're going to get a 1/1 white human soldier creature token instead. However, there's a slight but very important difference here. With Connive is something that the creature that is conniving does, whereas recruiting is a thing that you, the actual human player, does. So you recruit, but the creatures connive. Now, does that really make a difference? Kind of, sort of, when it does.
Yeah. So you have cards and abilities that say like target creature connives. Like you can say that, and then I can remove the creature, right?
Right.
And then the effect fizzles. And because it's the creature conniving, it's kind of set into stone as to where that +1/+1 counter is going. With the 1/1 white human soldier, you recruit. Okay,
Yep.
because you don't need to worry where your 1/1 human white soldier creature's going. It's going on the battlefield. There's no choices to make as to what creature gets the counter.
Exactly.
So, and so you can't remove the target to stop the recruit because there isn't any.
Right.
All right.
But yeah, pretty straightforward mechanic. Pretty cool.
Hone counters, which I actually think are kind of cool. So
Yeah, they are.
So hone counters, as illustrated by the card Dwalin Weaponsmaster, for 1 white-red hybrid, it is a 2/1 legendary creature dwarf warrior with first strike that says whenever Dwalin enters or attacks, put a hone counter on each equipment you control. And then what a hone counter does is it says each hone counter on an equipment grants +1/+0 to the equipped creature. So get it? Honing a weapon makes it sharper, right? And so the CR entry for hone just says a hone counter on an equipment gives +1/+0 to any creature that equipment is attached to. All right. The counter is on the equipment and not the creature. Okay, but the power toughness bonus is an effect of and also the power and toughness bonus is an effect of the counter itself. It is not giving an ability to the equipment. Okay,
Which is very important.
Yeah. Specifically, if you somehow like remove abilities of the equipment, the hone counter is unaffected. It's one of those special counters that have abilities like shield counters and stuff like that. Hone counters don't do anything really if they aren't on an equipment. All right, hone counters do not give bonuses to themselves via equipment creatures with reconfigure. So your equipment dogs and your equipment lizards, because it's only gives the power bonus to creatures that it's attached to. Okay.
But you could equip your reconfigure creature and make it an equipment, and in that case, then it would still give the bonus, correct?
Yeah. Right, but you can't give your scissor lizard. Wait, that's not an actual equipment. That'd be actually
That's an uncool
that'd actually
one.
be pretty cool. But the equipment dog all by its lonesome with hone counters on it doesn't give itself while it's in dog form.
The doggo is not honed.
Yeah. Knick
Fair.
knack paddywhack, give that dog a hone?
Jeez.
What? This is where my brain goes. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Also returning mechanics, just adventures coming back, landfalls coming back. We've talked about those a lot, but there's also another mechanic that's returning that we
We're
haven't
getting
talked
a
about as
mass
much. But
back. And
a mass of what?
a mass of
You should
goblins.
get that checked out.
It should be checked out. Yes. Consult your doctor, folks. No, we're getting a mass. That's a singular word, all crunched together. So it originally appeared in War of the Spark, and in War of the Spark, we had singular armies. We had zombie armies, and we only had to worry about them. Now, though, we have two new armies. We have goblin armies and orc armies, both in this set. So they did some rules cleanup over time, and we're going to review what a mass is because it's not exactly like it was back under War of the Spark, although it works similarly enough that if you played then, it's probably not a big deal.
It was also in Lord of the Rings pretty much the same way.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Orcish
Remember
Bowmaster.
Sauron?
I don't remember that. That's more than 1.5 sets ago. My brain just downloads
1.5
that
sets
stuff.
ago was like last week, man.
Right? It's great.
That actually might be exactly correct.
I think it is.
Set and a half ago. It's not even a business quarter.
So we're going to cover a couple of these notes real quick. If you amass goblins and if you don't control an army creature already, you create a 0/0 black goblin army creature token, and then you choose an army creature you control. So it doesn't have to be the one that you just created, and you put N+1/+1 counters on it. If the army isn't already a goblin, it becomes a goblin in addition to its other types. So if you amass goblins N, and if you have an army creature already and you're going to put those +1/+1 counters on it, that 0/0 black goblin army creature token just kind of goes away, right? It disappears because of state-based actions. I'm not wrong.
No, it says if you don't control an army creature. So you're not...
Then you choose an army creature you control.
Yeah, so would you say that black 0/0 goes away because it's
If you don't control one, you create one. Right. If you create one, then you choose an army creature you control. So you have a 0/0 on the battlefield at the same time that you choose an army creature token. So you just get rid of it.
Hold on. It says if you don't control an army creature, you create a 0/0. Then choose an army creature you control. So if you created the 0/0,
yes,
then you did it because you had no other army creatures. With the exception being if you have a token doubler.
Okay.
Right. If you have doubling season, then this becomes wonky, but otherwise it shouldn't cause you any strife there.
I shouldn't read. I just shouldn't read. I'm not. They say that literacy is failing, and it is clearly failing me today. Okay.
2 out of 3 JudgeCast hosts are librarians, and this still happens.
And one of them that's talking is the worst at this game tonight. Anyway, amass orcs works the same way, except you create a 0/0 black orc army creature token if you don't already control an army, right? If the army creature you choose isn't already an orc, it becomes an orc in addition to its other types. When you combine cards with amass orcs and amass goblins, you end up with a goblin orc army. Neat.
Tweedle-beetle battle.
Yeah. In the rare case that you control multiple army creatures, perhaps because you control a creature with changeling, which is just wild to me. While you amass goblins, you choose which of your army creatures to put the +1/+1 counters on. If the creature isn't a goblin, it becomes a goblin in addition to its other types. If you don't control an army, the goblin army token you create enters the battlefield as a 0/0 before receiving counters. Any abilities that trigger when a creature with a certain power enters the battlefield, such as that of Mentor the Meek, will actually see it enter as a 0/0 before the +1/+1 counters are on it. So Mentor the Meek will trigger. Some spells and abilities that amass goblins may require targets. If each target chosen is an illegal target or that spell or ability tries to resolve, it won't resolve. You just won't amass goblins, which is really sad. This example should be about amassing orcs, not about amassing goblins, because we always want to amass the goblins. Some cards refer to the amassed army. That means the army creature you chose to receive counters. even if no counters were placed on it for some weird reason, which I can't think of offhand, but I'm sure it's magic. There's 1,000,001 ways to do things. That's the new amass, which is the same as the old amass, but not the same as the old amass.
Hey, Marcos.
Yes.
Where does a general put his changelings?
In his changes?
No, in his sleeveys. Come on now.
Ah.
Changelings can be anything, including armies, remember?
Not that they can be anything. They are anything. They are everything.
They are anything and everything.
Except Time Lords for the purpose of Doctor's Companion or something like that?
Correct.
Okay.
Because reasons.
Because IPs.
Let's have somebody else talk other than Charles, because Charles can't talk. What are we going to do next? Cover CR?
So, unlike most of the time when we do release notes episodes, we actually have the CR for the Hobbit that is out right now. Now, they did do some changing. You know, they defined hone, and apparently they fixed some boomer double spaces after a period in the CR. But
Wow.
The two big areas that they made changes to are battles, and they might have done a little something else to mana abilities that Marcus is going to talk about. Let's talk about battles. So when battles were made, they were set up so that you could have different subtypes of battles. Most notably, the one that was released was Siege. Okay. They have fleshed out some of the generic rules for non-siege battles. Now, you might be asking yourself, what non-siege battles are there? The answer is none. So we'll probably talk about the non-siege battles as soon as we get some. Maybe a new set in the future they're setting up for. Maybe a battle for Shaka in the new Star Trek set. You know, I don't know. But that's what we got.
Yep.
Okay. What's the other change, Marcos?
So the other change is they've actually added something we touch on in almost every single release notes episode, and that's about what is a mana ability. So the CR citation for 605.1a says an activated ability is a mana ability if it meets all the following criteria, and these so far are all the same. It doesn't require a target. It could add mana to a player's mana pool when it resolves, and it's not a loyalty ability. But then they stapled on the following, and its cost and effect don't move any card to or from a library. Do not take into account replacement effects that may apply, other than self-replacement effects, when evaluating these criteria. So the card I think this might be about is Selvala, Explorer Returned. So Selvala says, tap, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, add green and you gain 1 life. Then each player draws a card. So
That's moving a card.
That is certainly moving a card. And it's one of the few times that you could actually move a card when you would be otherwise activating a mana ability. And I don't know, historically, this has always been quote unquote a problem for folks, especially when they do like GRV backups where you're just like, oh, okay, let me activate my Selvala. Oh, I attempted to cast the spell and now I can't pay for it because we didn't get these. But do we undo the card draw? How do we fix? And so with it being a mana ability, I guess now because it's now not a mana ability, you have the option to respond to it, or you can't activate it while paying costs.
So the CR has a rule that basically says something along the lines of, and I don't have this up in front of me, but it effectively was if you were to tap a Millican, which gives you a mana and mills a card, okay, you're like, oh, I use that mana to cast a spell and I can't do it. When we rewind, we would leave that card where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, that was an exception to the rewind, like the comprehensive rules has a rewind ability kind of in the rules. And that was the situation where you would leave as is. Not the case anymore.
Yep. So Millican, Chromatic Sphere, also another mana ability that would let you draw a card. And Selvala, no longer a problem, no longer something you have to deal with while trying to cast a spell, because this just forces you to use the mana ability before you attempt to cast a spell, and then you'll know if you have the mana for it or not. Really quick and simple.
Yep.
I like this change.
It does.
What's the bit here about do not take into account replacement effects that may apply other than self-replacement effects when evaluating these criteria? Do we have an example of that? I mean, we know...
like if you would draw a card, draw no cards instead.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you had the Narset, that stops you from drawing cards, and then you try to activate a Selvala, it doesn't change it from being a mana. It doesn't change it to a mana ability because now you wouldn't draw the card.
Yeah. And this actually touches on a thing that gets brought up when people talk about like, oh, what happens if I turn Cage Sun into a forest and then tap itself and I create the infinite mana ability kind of thing. Okay, so when you just look at a card, like if you think of every card or every ability just having like a Boolean that says, is this a mana ability? Yes, no. Okay. It's either yes or it's no. It's not, it situationally changes. So you just look at the card, definitionally, is it a yes or is it a no? Okay. And what this is saying here is the replacement effect is that Chromatic Sphere is no longer a mana ability. Even if you have a card out that's going to replace that draw with no draw, it's not a mana ability. Boolean, no.
Yep.
And you might change some things so that it meets the criteria, but that ability doesn't stop being or start being a mana ability because you removed the tweaky thing.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Makes explaining what a mana ability is a little more long in the tooth, a little more difficult, but it solves some of these really weird things where you can just draw cards for free and then get to use abilities over and over again.
And let's be honest, if you're playing like Milliken and Selvala and Chromatic, you're in, you know.
I mean, Chromatic Sphere is a playable card, but yeah, you know what you're doing.
You know.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we'll be explaining the change with Selvala for quite some time because plenty of Commander players don't listen to rules.
I don't plan on it because that means I gotta.
Yeah.
You get 1 week. My LGS has 1 week. After that, I'm just gonna be like.
You should have listened to the podcast.
You can't see that expression. I made like a disapproving dad face.
All right. My gosh. Okay, so can we move on to cards? Are we good? Yeah. All right, let's talk about some cards. Let's talk about Balin Loremaster for 3 red is a 4/4 legendary creature dwarf bard. He looks very proper in his overcoat there. He has Storied. So, reminder, if you control 3 or more artifacts, legendaries, and/or sagas, you have an enduring story for the rest of the game. He also has the trigger whenever Balin or another dwarf you control enters, you may discard your hand. Draw X cards, where X is the number of cards discarded this way. If you have an enduring story, Balin deals X damage to each opponent. So, this card is pretty plain Jane. But it's important to note that, people will ask, hey, can I discard my hand if it's empty? And the answer is yes, you can.
Great value.
Yeah.
Wonderful
for
you.
Does that do anything?
I feel good about that.
I cheated the system. I'm discarding an empty hand. I'm getting value, right?
Good for you. You cracked the code. Moving on.
But I'm not drawing any cards, and I'm not dealing any damage.
Aw, sorry.
All right. The next one is Bard, King of Dale. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking Dale from King of the Hill.
I'm thinking that, but I'm also looking at that little bird perched on his left shoulder, and I'm thinking if his name might be Dale. Maybe he is the king of the bird in the picture. I don't know.
And 6 more of them, and you got a... Oh, wait, that's a different Universes Beyond. Anyway, 4 white and a blue for a legendary creature, human noble archer. It's a 3/5 with reach and vigilance that says, if you would draw a card except the first one you draw at each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. Whoa. But that's not all. It also says if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. And I think this card needs errata. I don't see green in its mana cost for the token doubling. But no, this is an Azorius card. A few notes. If 2 or more replacement effects would apply to a card drawing event, that player drawing the card chooses the order. Okay, because they are replacement effects. However, I said however. Remember, though, even if you draw multiple cards at once, they are treated as individual card draws, and each can be replaced. There is an exception, however. There's a card, Alms Collector, ones like it, that have an instruction that modifies multiple card draws. So if an instruction to draw multiple cards is modified by a replacement effect, like with Alms Collector, and that refers to the number of cards drawn, this replacement effect applies first. So if you have a replacement effect that applies to a bunch of cards, apply that before you apply replacement effects that apply to individual cards. Okay, clear as mud. Also, with Bard, it says if you would draw a card except for the first one you draw in each of your draw steps. So if you have multiple draw steps for some reason, you're only going to draw one card during those draw steps. All right. For the token doubling ability, the tokens enter at the same time. They have the same name, color, type, power, and toughness, etc., etc. If an effect creates more than one kind of token, you're going to get twice of each kind. Double, 2 times. If an effect creating the token has you do something to those tokens at a later time, like sacrificing or exiling, you're going to do that to the double tokens as well. Now, let's talk about Amass, which we kind of already talked about. But, or maybe we didn't. Maybe that part got edited out. I don't even remember anymore. But, if you have Bard King of Dale out and Amass orcs and have no orcs, you are going to create 2 0/0 orc army tokens, but you're only going to put counters on one of them. And the other one, unless you've got some way to keep it alive, like give it like boosties or uppies somehow, it's going to bite it as a 0/0 orc army token.
Uppies, really?
Uppies. You up its power and toughness. You give your little orc army uppies. Okay.
Jeez. All right. Next up, we have the mighty bear, Bjorn the Fierce. Is that how you pronounce it? Bjorn?
Baby Bjorn
Resolves.
wants uppies.
Baby Bjorn.
Baby Bjorn wants uppies.
The bear cub, once known as Bear Cub who wants uppies, is now Bjorn the Fierce. For 3 green, this is a 6/6 legendary creature, bear shapeshifter warrior with trample. Other bears you control get +2/+2. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a trample counter on up to 1 target creature you control. It becomes a bear in addition to its other types. Then, if you control 3 or more bears, draw 2 cards. So, thing here we want to highlight is that the act of resolving that last triggered ability, at the beginning of your combat, put a trample counter on up to 1 target creature you control, it becomes a bear. That does not have a duration. So that is just now a bear forever.
Infinite bears.
Neat. Infinite bears. Same thing goes for Bjorn's Hospitality, which is 1 and a green enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. But then you can pay 5 green to make that enchantment become a bear creature in addition to its other types and gain this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. There, it has the helpful parentheses that tell you that this effect does not end, because there you also get to just infinitely be a bear. So, if you like bears, you got bears.
So many bears. I actually think that there are a number of bears in this particular set. I'd have to go and look that up.
There is so many bears.
But I thought
So
that I
many
saw like
bears.
6 different bear cards, maybe something like that. It's a lot of bears, and Bjorn is like the biggest bear ever, right? At 6'6".
That's pretty big.
Is there
Ever,
a
I don't
pretty
know,
big bear?
a Shia or a Eula
I don't know.
might be bigger. Let's see.
I think 6/6 is the biggest
Queen
bear
amongst
I've ever seen.
bears. No, she's a 2/2 that just makes things infinitely
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, I think 6/6 is big.
Huh.
Okay.
So,
Anyway.
is in stretching things out and making so many bears, are they Peter Jacksoning the Hobbit set, right? Is it gonna just stretch it out to make money? Because there's maybe not enough to.
I believe that. If it worked once, why not do it again?
Yeah. Yep. It's
Why
funny
is-
one time. It's funny
Why
every
is Bilbo blue card?
time. Why wouldn't it be a blue card?
Wouldn't
Flavor
he be
Judge enters
more
the ring.
white-green?
Huh?
Maybe blue.
Sure.
Maybe
blue
blue.
right now. We got a lot of red Gandalfs.
Yeah, and
Look at blues and white Gandalfs.
I don't think we're going to talk about Gandalf too much, but I got issue with Gandalf. Anyway, Bilbo.
No, he's a thief in the night. He's being sneaky. Blue
he is
can be
being
very
sneaky. Blue can have
sneaky.
that cunning thing going on. Okay, well we'll go with that. Bilbo, thief in the night, 1 in a blue for a 2/2 legendary creature, halfling rogue. He's got hairy feet. So, spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 1 less to cast, 1 generic mana less to cast. Whenever Bilbo attacks, you may cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell from your graveyard. If an instant or sorcery spell cast this way would be put into your graveyard, you exile it instead. Okay, so cost reduction doesn't apply to colored mana, only generic mana. So, you can't cast your counter spell any cheaper. Sorry, not going to happen. If you cast an adventure spell from the graveyard, you're allowed to put it into exile as an adventure as it resolves, because that's part of being an adventure. Adventures have the reminder text after you cast it, then you exile this card. You may cast this creature later from exile. So it seems like good value to me. If the adventure spell on the stack is countered, though, it's going to be exiled via Bilbo's second ability, not via the adventure ability. So it'll just go away and you'll be sad. Sorry about that. Bilbo looks very menacing in this picture. I don't get it. I'm very conflicted over this new Bilbo that I'm being exposed to.
Just to be clear, when it says like if an instant or sorcery cast this way would be put into the graveyard, exile it instead.
Yeah,
like that's a replacement effect. And adventure is also putting it into the exile instead of the graveyard. That's also a replacement effect. So you can choose which one to do.
right.
It just doesn't make sense to do Bilbo's ability and not the adventure ability if you're casting an adventure.
Yeah, and judges, when working with players that are newer to the game, make sure they understand this when they're pre-release.
I think that just confuses them.
I know, but they shouldn't be getting really bad value out of this because they don't understand that, right? I don't know.
I'm torn. If they're new, I probably wouldn't talk about it. I would just say you can still cast your adventure. I wouldn't go into the details about.
I would. No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Is I wouldn't let them get gamed on it. I wouldn't let them put it into exile and it's unavailable to them. I would make sure that they're getting the value out of it. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Bolg of the North. For 3 black red is a 5/5 legendary creature goblin soldier that says, when Bolg enters, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Bolg deals damage equal to that creature's power to another target creature. If excess damage was dealt this way, amass Goblin's X, where X is the excess damage. Okay, so the creature that you sacrifice, we are going to use last known information for that creature's power for the rest of Bolg's ability, okay? So even though that creature's gone, okay, and it is because this is a reflexive trigger, haha, the first one of the episode and we're only in the B's. So
Got there.
when Bolg enters, you may sacrifice another creature, period. When you do, that's the reflexive trigger, okay? Bolg is going to deal that damage. This is using last known information of what the creature's power was when you sacrificed it. Last known information. This is a reflexive trigger. We've talked about those in the past. Also, we're going to talk about what excessive damage is. Excessive damage is the damage over what is necessary to kill the creature. I'm not going to get super technical.
Excess, not excessive, right?
Yeah.
Although excess is excessive.
Right. So it's the damage greater than the damage that is required to be lethal damage. So if you're dealing 10 points to a 3/3, the only 3 is lethal, the excess is 7. Now, if that 10/10 has death touch, for example, then 9 of it is going to be excess. Okay, because only one of that damage, because it was death touch, was considered is needed to be considered lethal.
Sick. Then you'll be in the company of many, many a goblin army.
Chef Wargs.
Chief Warg's company, even.
Chef. Yes, Chef.
So we have Chief Warg's company, a 5/3 creature wolf for 1 black and a green with trample. And the card says this creature can't attack unless you control 2 or more other wolves. So they're in good company. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Nice. So, big thing here is once you declare this creature as an attacker, because remember, it can't attack unless you control 2 or more other wolves. Once you've declared it as an attacker, if your opponent then removes one of those wolves, so let's say Charles decides to lightning bolt one of my wolves and get it out of there, well, that's not going to cause the Chief Warg's company to no longer be in combat or no longer be attacking. All this is you can't declare this creature as an attacker when you're going to the declare attacker's step. That's the restriction. Once it's there, he's rumbling, he's ready to go.
Is it my turn?
Question for you. Is it 2 or more other wolves because... Oh, wait, nope, that doesn't work. I was going to make a joke about Three's Company, but then I realized that it was Two's Company, Three's a crowd. Never mind. Oh, maybe that's the word. Two other wolves. That's Chief Warg's company.
Yeah, it's not Chief Warg's crowd. We've gone too far.
Yes, we have. All right, what's coming up next?
The Eagles are coming.
Oh, amazing. For 1 and a white, it is an instant. The Eagles are coming has kicker cost of 2 white. So you can pay an additional 2 white as you cast the spell. Choose target creatures you own. If the spell was kicked, instead choose any number of target creatures you own. Return each chosen creature to your hand. At the beginning of the next upkeep, create a 4/4 white bird soldier creature token with flying for each creature returned to your hand this way. Why couldn't they have just flown the ring into Mordor? Wait, that's a completely different question. Different movie.
A different movie. I'm sorry. I just really, I mean, seriously.
Do you want to know the technical answer?
Because they weren't friends with the Eagles?
No, it's because then the story would be over.
Yeah, but
really, just I'm gonna pause you for a second. But just every time this comes up, if you think about whatever movie that you were watching, and you're like, oh, they should have done this smart thing, and then the movie would just end. Credits roll, story over. Like, basically, there's so many movies that just a bad decision has to be made in order for plot to happen.
Yeah. Stories aren't built off of good decisions.
Oh, I'll tell you later about my Kevin Costner theory and why that would probably be a good thing, but let's move on. Okay.
Whoa.
Spicy takes.
The deep Charles lore.
Yeah. Okay, so this card's really, really, really cool. Not only does it have a cool eagle, but it lets us talk about movie lore, and we can learn about tokens. So any tokens you return to your hand will disappear, of course, due to state-based actions. But they were creatures before they went back to your hand, so you still get eagles from them. If you either do 1 token back to your hand, or if you do the kicker cost and you've got a whole fleet of little goblins or orcs or something else floating around, you get birds. Neat. You may not pay the kicker cost more than once. It's not multi-kicker, it's just regular plain old kicker. So you can only do it 1 time. If you copy a kick spell, what happens? The copy gets kicked too. Why? Because you're making the choice about the spell when it's going on the stack, and you're copying the spell that's on the stack, so you get the copied spell that has all of the bells and whistles. Nifty.
Right. But we should point out that in this particular case,
yeah,
I don't think copying it
does a whole lot.
copying the kicked spell is going to do a whole lot.
It doesn't do a whole lot. No, but it's neat. It's like multiple instances of trample. It just doesn't do anything.
We're JudgeCast. We're not good decision cast.
Yeah.
What the thing you can do?
And what if you copy that delayed trigger? Which delayed trigger are we talking about? At the beginning of your next upkeep. Oh, yeah, copying the delayed trigger.
Delayed trigger.
Now that's cool. That means you get more stuff back, right?
Yeah.
You either get a second instance of a bird, or you get lots more instances of birds. However you paid for it. So, cool card. I'm excited for it because I expect there will be shenanigans.
Eagle. Couldn't help myself.
All right. Next up is Elven Passage. It's land. It says tap, pay a life, sacrifice this land. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. You may behold an elf. If you do, untap that land. And to behold an elf, you choose an elf you control or reveal an elf from your hand. Okay? So I point to an elf on the battlefield and I go, behold! Or I can show an elf from my hand, behold. All right. Now, I want to talk about abilities that refer to a card subtype, like an elf, okay, that is referring only to cards with that subtype. Cards like Elven Chorus that has elf or elven written into the name, or it's got elves in the art. That's not a subtype of elf, okay? Might be an elf card for your elf deck, but it's not an elf card in terms of the actual rules of the game. I think we already talked about beholding, and and then the last thing is you can reveal a card even though it's already been revealed. Okay, like if there's a telepathy. I've now
Podcast Bros.
I've now put myself in a condition where I'm uncertain how it is pronounced. Telepathy.
There you go.
Telepathy.
Tilapia.
No.
Tilapia.
We're going to talk about fish in a minute, but not yet.
Yes. Okay. If there's there's a telepathy. I don't know if it sounds right anymore. Yes, porculus. All right. There's a
thank you, CJ.
12-year-old reference. Okay, you can reveal a card even though it's already revealed, like some card that has you revealing things. Okay, I'm not saying words anymore. Don't start.
Nice. Oh, I will start. I'll start with a spark, like Gandalf. Spark starter, got there! Okay, I'm really excited about actually getting a transition. I have not had any good transitions this whole episode so far, so thank you for that setup. Anyways, Gandalf, Spark Starter, is a legendary creature, avatar wizard. 4/3 for 4 red and a red, with reach, because there has to be a red card with hidden reach in every set. And when Gandalf enters, he deals 3 damage, divided as you choose, amongst 1, 2, or 3 targets. All right. So here's where we're going to talk about how you're dividing and targeting and the steps to casting a spell. So first, you have to choose the number of targets, because you can't divide amongst the number of targets until you know how many targets you have. So this spell on the stack lets you choose, do you want to have 1, 2, or 3 targets? You choose a number. Then you get to the step where you divide, when this card is... Man, I can't even words right now. When this triggered ability is resolving, or when you're putting this triggered ability onto the stack, you're going to choose.
It's the step right after you declare the number of targets. You do how to distribute.
Yep. You do the distribution, and then based off of the number of targets you chose, is how much damage you have to divide amongst multiple folks. So if you have 3 targets, then you divide 3 damage among 3 targets. Gonna be 1 to each. But if you have 2 targets, you can choose 2 on one and 1 on the other, but you can't choose 3 and 0. If you have chosen X number of targets, you have to assign at least 1 damage or divide at least 1 of what you're dividing amongst each of the targets that you have
As a general rule, if you are dividing a thing amongst targets, you have to give at least one thing to each target, whether it's damage or counters or some third example I haven't thought of yet.
Yep.
When I started the sentence.
Exactly. If you've chosen targets for it, you got to give them at least one. You can't be like, hey, you're part of the club, and then not give them their pass to get in. So.
My transitions tonight are also equally terrible, and
abandoned?
I'm feeling really left out and definitely abandoned. It's just terrible. So let's talk about Gollum the Abandoned for 1 and a black. This little guy is a 2/2 legendary creature halfling horror. Let that sink in for a moment. They really nailed that one, I think. Gollum can't block. When Gollum enters, exile up to 1 target card from an opponent's graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life. For 2 and sacrificing an artifact or creature, you can return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Activate only as a sorcery. So just very important, that first trigger. When Gollum enters, exile up to 1 target card from an opponent's graveyard. You don't actually have to exile 1 target card. If you don't, that's fine. You still make each opponent lose 2 life. Ooh, this sounds like fun. We're going to do this a lot in Two-Headed Giant. But if you do choose to exile 1 target card from an opponent's graveyard, and when the trigger goes to resolve, that target card's no longer there, no one loses any life because the ability will just not happen. It'll fizzle because it's got no target. Gotcha? And look at those cute little fish bones that he's throwing around. See, I told you we'd be talking about fish in a second.
Nailed it. Should have trusted you the whole time.
Yeah. You know what else goes with fish?
What's that?
Oh, you broke my will, but what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great gilded boat. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Great gilded boat.
So thankful I'm here for that.
Is 2 and a blue for a 4/4 artifact vehicle. I don't know, man.
Goodness.
4/4 artifact vehicle. Nope, we're pretending that didn't exist on the internet for forever now. Says whenever you attack, recruit. Okay? That's draw a card, discard a card, blah, 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 blah. 1/1 white human soldier if you discarded an on-land card. All right, it's got a crew of 2. Just the only thing we're going to say about this, we're not going to sing the praises about how it... Like, all of the lyrics for this song are problematic, and I'm not going to say those about a boat. But it doesn't care if the boat is attacking. It only cares if you attacked with something. Okay? Okay, and that's not once per creature, all right? So it's not whenever you attack with a creature. It's just when you go from the state of I'm not attacking to I'm attacking, you get to recruit, all right? And that creature's not put onto the battlefield tapped or attacking or anything like that. You just get a dude right there that's kind of standing there and going like, chewing its nails and twiddling their thumbs. Might be nervous, but it sure is fun. Okay, that's enough of that gag. Oh, hey! Marcos.
Yes.
Can I ask a favor?
Yeah.
Can you skip this card?
I will gladly skip this card.
So
hey,
that
Charles, you want to take the
is
next one?
in line?
Thank you. I'm so happy. Okay, friends, we have this wonderful new card to introduce to you. It's called the Great Goblin. It has
pretty great.
1 and 2 Rakdos hybrid mana for a 3/2 that is a legendary creature, Goblin Noble. I'm so excited.
Pretty good goblin.
Pretty good goblin. Okay,
pretty good type line.
Yeah. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on a goblin, orc, or army you control, the Great Goblin deals 2 damage to target opponent. Whenever another goblin, orc, or army you control dies, exile the top card of your library. You may play it until the end of your next turn. Wow, I'm kind of excited by this card. I actually, side note, I have a pile of cards on my desk right now that is waiting for him as soon as I can get my hands on one. Yeah, it's a great pile. Okay. Also, when you're given the option to exile cards and play them for a certain duration, like until the end of your next turn, etc., then you have to follow all the regular timing restrictions for playing those cards. So you can't play sorceries during your combat step. If you exile a land, you can only play it with the stack empty. You also can't play that land if you've already played one that turn already, unless you have some other thing happening that lets you do that. But we're not talking about green, are we? Other effects might tell you to exile a card and give you the option to cast it without stating a specific duration. Those you will need to cast them while resolving that effect and will ignore typical timing restrictions. I'm so excited. He looks so happy. And you know what's even better? Oh, I bet you don't know this. There's 2 Great Goblins in this set. Those, commander cards that aren't commander cards, but they're commander cards. There's another version of the Great Goblin in that. Neat.
Ooh. Also a Goblin Noble?
Also a Goblin Noble. We doubled the number of Goblin Nobles in the Hobbit set. Thank you very
Excellent.
much.
Hopefully it sets a precedent.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Yeah. We don't have any inside information on what the future holds or anything like that. But,
No.
Man can dream.
Man can dream.
Yeah. And to that, we go into inside information. For X, a black and a black, it is a sorcery that says exile the top X cards of target opponent's library. You may play those cards this turn. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. So following up on our last card, this does give you the ability to play those cards this turn only. Same thing, normal timing rules apply because the duration is for this entire turn. So you have the entire turn to do these things, do them at the right time. If a spell that you're using this ability on has X in its mana cost, however, you must choose 0 for X if you're paying it without paying its mana cost. So can't choose out something really, really big with this. X has to be 0. And if you choose to cast a spell using a method rather than paying its mana cost, then you can't choose to cast it for any other alternative cost because rather than paying its mana cost is an alternate cost. So you can either pay 1 in a red for that Ancient Grudge or pay 2 life, but you can't pay the green flashback cost.
Next up is the Master of Lake Town. He's just a Lake Town girl. She's been living in her uptown world. For 1 black, is a 3/2 legendary creature human advisor. Death Touch. Whenever a player loses life, that player mills that many cards. And when Master of Lake Town dies, draw a card for each graveyard with 7 or more cards in it.
We're reaching here, folks.
Yep.
For your entertainment.
So Master of Lake Town will usually be in the graveyard when that last ability resolves. Just when Master of Lake Town dies, draw a card for each graveyard with 7 or more cards in it. So if you have 6 cards in your graveyard and Master of Lake Town dies, you now have 7 cards in your graveyard. Okay? So it's going to see itself. Now, while we are not strategy cast, okay, if Master of Lake, if this Lake Town girl dies during the same combat, a player loses life. Okay, because damage is dealt at the we deal damage and then we deal with the results of that damage, i.e., creatures get put into the graveyard. We then get priority, and I can choose to stack these triggers in the way I want, such that I can cause the player, I can stack it so that I'm going to draw a card for each graveyard with 7 or more cards in it, and then on top of that, the player is going to mill that many cards. So I mill those cards, hopefully milling into the 7, so that my uptown girl gets to draw, or my Lake Town girl. Okay, never mind. The Master of Lake Town. This is Tillman. I'm embarrassed. I am embarrassed. Anyway,
you're forging a new path. You're trying to find your way there.
Yep. It's
should
very
also
murky path.
it should also be noted this will be another cool card in Two-Headed Giant if you can get multiple graveyards to have 7 or more cards in it. Okay.
Or CEDH, which is kind of where I see this card as being played predominantly.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
I can see it.
Let's try and make a path to wrapping this up, right? So let's talk about the Mirkwood Pathmaker for 2 and a green is a */ creature elf ranger. And it has a text. Mirkwood Pathmaker's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. And we bring this up because every once in a while we get something that has that wonderful */ star in the power toughness box, which means that it is a characteristic defining ability. And characteristic defining abilities are neat because they work wherever the card is. If the card is in exile, or if the card's in the graveyard, or if the card's in the library, and you had 4 lands out, then it is a 4/4. No matter where it is, in all zones, it's a 4/4. Cool.
Lord, I was born a Radagast. Meanie.
Very nice.
No.
I'm taking it. I'm running with it. We're doing it.
Now that you've both done it, I have to figure out what I'm doing. Oh, no.
Radagast of Rosgabel, 2 green, a legendary creature, avatar wizard, is a 2/5. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 generic mana less to cast, and can be cast as though it had flash. Pretty sweet. Now, this ability does not change the mana value, just the cost that ends up being paid. So if you're checking what the mana value is of that spell that you're casting, it's going to stay the same. You just get a discount when you're paying for it. Radagast ability does not reduce colored mana costs, just generic mana. We've touched on that already a little bit earlier on, but again, it's just the generic mana, not the specific mana costs. So even if it has that little diamond colorless pip in there, doesn't reduce that either. Only the generic number cost. The first creature spell you cast in a turn doesn't have to be the first spell. It just has to be the first creature. So you can cast like 7 or 8 instants and sorceries, enchantments, planeswalkers. It's only when you get to that first creature that this would apply. Now, this cost reduction can apply to alternative costs. So if we look back at our previous card we were talking about, Inside Information, this can give you a discount on those cards without changing the mana value. And if the creature has X in its cost, you choose the value of X before you calculate the total cost. So when we're talking about calculating costs, you're always going to choose the value of X before you then determine costs, where you add on any cost increases, then take away any cost reducers, and then double check if there's a Trinity Sphere on this battlefield. And if there's not, you're good to go.
All right. What has roots as nobody sees, is taller than trees, up it goes, and yet never grows.
Is that a mountain?
It is.
Thank you.
Hey.
All right.
I was never that good at riddles.
That was the first riddle in the dark from The Hobbit that Gollum posed to Bilbo, which is okay. So little personal Bryan aside. Do you remember like the 45 records that sometimes would become with like storybooks when you were a kid?
Yeah.
I had a storybook. If you remember like that 70s cartoon of The Hobbit, I had a storybook of that. Like just with pictures animated and then a record that you played at the same time as looking at the book. And this right here and the cartoon on the television seared into my mind. This was my first interaction with like fantasy in general and the whole riddles in the dark thing is like seared into my brain. And even then as a kid, like as a little 5-year-old kid, I knew that the riddle of what have I got in my pockets was a bullshit riddle. All right. 2 and a blue for riddles in the dark. It's an instant. It says look at the top 4 cards of your library and separate them into a face down pile and a face up pile. An opponent chooses one of the piles. Okay, put that pile in your hand and the other pile in your graveyard. Okay? You don't have to reveal the cards in the face down pile if you put them in your hand. Okay? If they go to the graveyard, obviously they're going to be in the graveyard. You get to see what they are. Okay? That pile can be split 4 and 0 or 0 and 4. You know, you little tricksy false hobbit, you can do whatever you want. But that's about all there is. So, yeah. 1 and 3, 3 and 1, 2 and 2, 0 and 4. I'm not your mom.
Well, let's see here. Sing for your supper and you'll always get breakfast. Songbirds always eat.
Is that an actual song?
Mamas and the papas.
Sing for your supper and you'll always get breakfast?
Songbirds always eat. Yes. Mamas and the papas. Supper for Spiders is 1 and a black. It's an instant. What
does that mean?
I have no idea. I don't, interpret the lyrics. I just sing them.
Is that like a sex thing?
I don't know. I don't know.
Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative.
Oh, yes. There you go. So to recap, we're talking about Supper for Spiders for 1 and a black is an instant. You put onto the battlefield under your control all creature cards in your opponent's graveyards that were put there from the battlefield this turn. They are food artifacts. With 2 and tap, sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. That's 2 generic mana, tap. So when you do this, the cards that you put onto the battlefield on your side are food artifacts indefinitely. They don't become anything else at the end of turn. Returned cards this way lose all subtypes and card types and are only food artifacts. They do retain things like the name, the mana cost, the mana value, and the abilities. They also retain super types, so legendary. So it can be a legendary food artifact. Great. Cool. You got there. Also, just general programming note, don't eat your opponent's cards. Just because they're food doesn't mean that they're tasty. We will not be amused.
I'll be amused.
A little bit, but not that much.
If you're a hobbit, let's do it. Ride it, my pony. The dedication I have to this bit knows
really high.
Bounds.
It's really high. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Oh, had to do it. Anyways, Troop of Ponies is a 2-cost, 2 generic colorless card. It is a creature horse. It is a 2/1 with the ability pay 2 and tap and sacrifice this creature, : search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put 1 onto the battlefield tapped, and the other into your hand, then shuffle. So in this instance, if you find only 1 basic land, either because, well, you choose to only get 1 or because you only had 1 left in your deck, that one is put onto the battlefield tapped. Because we follow instructions given in order, them's the breaks. You don't get to send it to your hand.
All right. I think the last card. So, you know the stereotype of the wizard who lives alone in their tower?
Yeah.
I mean,
classic trope.
Right. That's classic trope. But it doesn't really make sense, right? Because the wizard's got to eat. There's a lot of cleaning. Maybe there's some apprentices helping out, sending the mail, the rookery with all the birds and stuff like that.
How alone are they really? People are always pestering them too. They always coming up and knocking on the door and saying, "Wizard, wizard, will you please help me?" You gotta have
people shoo them away.
Yeah.
You've got to have a wizard staff.
Oh, that's
wizard
great.
Staff. 1 in a blue. It's an artifact equipment. Oh, I thought this would be a creature. So equipped creature has prowess. Then if an ability of equipped creature triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. It has equip wizard 1 and just plain old vanilla equip 3. That's right. You have to pay 3 to equip a creature with the subtype vanilla. Okay, multiple instances of prowess do stack, so if you equip a creature with prowess, then you're going to get 2 prowess triggers, once for each instance of prowess. Okay? Just as a reminder, triggers, because this says if an ability of equipped creature triggers, it's going to trigger an additional time. Triggers start with when, whenever, or at. All right? Replacement effects are not triggered abilities. If, not a triggered word. Not a trigger word. All right. The additional time, okay, is not a copy of the initial trigger. It is an additional triggering of that trigger. Okay? You can put those triggers, you put those triggers on the stack, and you can choose differently if they're modal or have targets or stuff like that. If that triggered ability is linked to another ability, to a second ability, and any additional instances of that triggered ability are also linked to that ability. All right? So if the second ability refers to the exiled card, it refers to all cards exiled by the triggered ability. This is so if the triggered ability is whenever you cast a spell, exile a card, and then there's another ability that lets you cast the exiled card, it can see both cards exiled with that triggered ability. All right. Yeah, okay, what are y'all's thoughts on this set?
It's a small set, so because I judge sets based largely on drafting, I'm kind of waiting. I think I'm excited by a couple of the new mechanics. I do like the inclusion of the Great Goblin. I'm low-key excited, but again, I want to see how it plays.
Yeah, it's an interesting set. I think the complexity is lower than I expected it was going to be. Like we didn't have as many cards that I expected we would have to do really deep dives into during this, which was kind of a relief, if I'm honest. Like, not every set has to have like a crazy amount of complexity to still be fun. And I think this looks like it's trying to go more for fun gameplay than just be complex, which I dig.
Bryan, where'd you land?
Okay. So Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, that's my jam. Like there's so much nostalgia and stuff tied into it. So it is kind of cool to see some of this stuff on cards, but also seeing that they really were like, was it you had like, like really angry bird and like kind of cute bear and large bear and medium-sized bear and
There are a
things like
lot of
that. Like
bears.
it really feels like they were kind of stretching for material. That was why I kind of made the Peter Jackson joke earlier. And it, I don't know. It's like, was it like butter scraped over too much bread? Is kind of the feeling that I get. Which is also a Lord of the Rings, a Bilbo reference. I don't know. It's just I feel like this could have been like 3 secret layers, and that been
Probably.
it. Right. I do like the fact that we are getting some needed reprints. Okay, like the One Ring being reprinted, very cool. Even though there's not going to be a whole lot of them out there, because I think they're only accessible in the $1,000 collector boxes. I do think it's kind of crappy that this product that is so nostalgic for so many people is just so expensive,
Yep.
But at the same time, like the collector products are luxury item. Like I kind of have to look at it as luxury items, right? Like the Lexus car isn't for everyone, and you might go like, well, it's a card game. But it's like I don't.
Yeah. The problem is everybody who engages with the property or who engages with what this set is trying to do is the target market for it, and we try and market really expensive things that everybody wants, but you make it unattainable. That's just a feel bad. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
That's
I don't know. I've kind of started to come around. Like so much stuff is being put out there that I think in the early days of Magic, like wants and needs were kind of commingled, and now people are still continuing that, but like you don't need a one ring, you don't need any one specific card. Like there's so many cards out there. There's 30,000 cards out there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's not so much need as want. Like, I don't know. I think back to the original expeditions and how I could just open any old booster pack and pull out this bonkers card and it would be great. And that's just the fact that a lot of these are locked away in a like you're too poor to enjoy this or get that experience again feels a little, I don't know.
Yeah, that is kind of bad. Like I do wish that they put some of the cool cards in play boosters. I realize that they're sending people anyway, that's a whole other rant. That's not for this podcast. Yeah. That's for JudgeCast After Dark right there.
Yes.
Coming soon
Sponsor
to a
us for some
Patreon
JudgeCast
near
After Dark,
you.
and we'll just sit in front of a mic for hours and rant.
Yeah, but even that has its time limit. Anyway, we good?
I will say, on a personal note, it's kind of nostalgic because I remember one of the first episodes I ever guested on of JudgeCast before I became a host was the Lord of the Rings release notes. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, we've come back around. Yay.
Like a ring.
We've made one full circle around the ring.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yep.
All right. That's our episode. Join us next episode as we put our musical talents to work. That's right. JudgeCast the Musical is coming with music by Irving Berlin and lyrics by Bryan Perlman. You'll be amazed, astonished, and quite possibly suffer permanent hearing damage.
Hold on now.
Yeah.
Until then,
I'm into this. Let's go.
Until then, you can send us an email at judgecast@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on BlueSky at judgecast.bsky.social and on Twitter at JudgeCast. Don't forget to check out our show notes for these links and more, including our YouTube channel where you can find this podcast and our L1 Essentials series. While you're at it, hop onto our Discord server for judges new and old, fans, and anyone who supports the judging community. I'm Charles Featherer, and I keep it fair.
I'm Marcos Sanchez, and I keep it fun.
I'm Bryan Perlman, and I'm going to stick around after the outro song and listen to Charles's story about Kevin Costner.